Thank God I have a pool boy.
Quiet here today, huh?
I know. Calm before the storm. We good, Alex? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger, Chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Wednesday, October 21st, and the special meeting of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is categorized as a special meeting and is being held at a time other than when our regular meeting was to take place. Protocol for this morning's meeting was previously reviewed by Corporation Counsel, who indicated to me that it is compliant with the executive orders, governor, and fair for those attending in person or watching from a remote location. Just a reminder that all commissioners and staff attending today's meeting in person and others in the auditorium are reminded of the need to wear masks that cover the nose and mouth throughout the meeting, even when speaking. Your cooperation is appreciated. Would everyone present in the auditorium please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite all who are participating remotely to do the same. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So continuing with our agenda, I'll begin with our roll call. When your name is called, please verbally indicate you are present. Beginning with those who are participating remotely, Commissioner Ticky.
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Usel.
Present.
Mr. Panico, our consultant.
Present.
And Commissioner Motto.
Here.
Okay. And for those that are in the auditorium, myself, Commissioner Harger, Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Mr. Rossetti, our administrator. Sarah Vanassos, our recording secretary. Okay, and other members of the staff were not available to be here this morning. That is Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Nappy. And for the record, Commissioner Wodanski and alternate Commissioner Laskos are unavailable to participate in today's meeting. And alternate Commissioner Usel, I'll ask you to sit in for Commissioner Wodanski. And just a couple of points before continuing with the agenda. This is the Commission's 19th meeting being done via a live streaming process. Commissioners participating in person and remotely will be able to make comments throughout the meeting so that we're not all talking across each other, and our recording secretary is clear as to who's speaking. Commissioners are asked to please say Madam Chair and then your name. As soon as the Chair recognizes you, you are free to speak. Please be aware that you may hear an echo. Commissioners participating remotely are asked to be aware and remember that microphones on computers will pick up ambient sounds, which will be heard in the auditorium throughout the PA system, including movement of papers, phones ringing, and conversations if others are in the room. So, if at all possible and you have the ability to do so, please mute the audio on the computer. We'll begin with old business, application 20-15, Vista Apartments, LLC, for Shelton zoning regulations exchange of section 33.6, special exceptions, multifamily residential development. The proposal's intent is to clarify the building standards for multifamily developments in R2, R3, R4, R5, and CA3 zones. I'd just like to know for the record, this application was accepted for review on July 15th. Public hearing was scheduled for September 16th. On September 16th, at the opening of the public hearing, the Commission heard an explanation of the text change from Attorney Bellis regarding the intent, which would be to clarify the intent of the regulation for R2 and R3 zones. Mr. Panico explained the text change would eliminate the minimum 4-acre lot size, and zones 2 and 3 would now have a zoning standard where it was originally intended. Mr. Rossetti indicated referrals were made to the Naugatuck Valley and the Metro COGS, which did not respond with any comments, and the Commission voted to close the public hearing. Mr. Rossetti, do you have any further comments before I open discussion about this proposal to the Commission?
again, the Valley Cog and Metro Cog have not responded with any concerns. They, without expressing concerns, they have no issues. And just to reiterate again, this is to clarify which sections of the regulations set the requirements for multifamily housing in those R2, R3, R4, R5, and CA3 zones. Paragraph 33.6 standards will only set the standards for R2 or R3 districts as originally intended after having discussions with Tony Panico, and not to the small R4 and R5 districts or the downtown CA3 zones where those really come into play. And as you said, the intent is to eliminate the minimum 4-acre requirement needed in those more dense zones. This will not affect the special exception procedure for the other zones that will still be required. Staff does not have any issues with this application and are in favor of this text change.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So, do any of the commissioners participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns about this proposal?
Not I, Elaine Matto. Yeah.
That was Commissioner Amato. You said you did not. Commissioner Ticky?
On this particular proposal, I don't, but Chairwoman, I did want to mention something before we start losing commissioners during this meeting, which is I mentioned to Alex prior to, I think, this meeting formally starting the start time of these meetings, and just wanted to inquire about us taking a look at the start time of these virtual meetings. It seems to me we haven't had one commissioner with us for, I think, 18 out of the 19 virtual meetings that we've had. And while this may have worked for the summer months, it was just a few.
I understand your concerns. Could we discuss that after we get through today's agenda? I'm more than happy to spend as much time on that particular concern that you have, and to see what kind of resolution we can have. But can we keep to what is here that we're talking about now as to the concerns that anybody might have to this particular text change to section 33.6?
I will, but I also know that I need to leave this call early, so I just want the record to reflect something that I brought up and I know other commissioners have, and we should take a hard look at it because it is a disservice not just to the commission, but to the public, who it's very hard to attend a 10 a.m. meeting, and we should look, as other towns are, for a meeting that would be later in the day where we know that public could attend, and it might be more convenient for commissioners who work or have other obligations during the daytime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
More than happy to have a discussion with you. So do you have any comments that you want to share about the text amendment change to section 33.6? Commissioner McKee?
I'm reviewing it. I have no other further comments.
Okay, good. All right, and Commissioner Yuso, how about yourself?
Madam Chair, I would just like to echo what Commissioner Tiggy just said. Public participation is important to anything the Planning and Zoning Commission does. And
could you we will have a discussion. I am more than willing to do that, but let's get through what we have on the agenda, and that is comments about the text change to .33.6. Okay? You were present at the meeting on September 16th. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns about that text change?
I do. I have one. So just to clarify, this will eliminate the minimum 4 acres lot size that is now required across the board, correct?
No, just for zones R2 and R3.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner, those are the 3 commissioners participating remotely. Commissioner Kelly, how about yourself?
I have no problem with it.
Use your mic. Hang on to it.
I have no problem with it.
Okay. All right, seeing that there are no further comments, questions, or concerns by any of the commissioners participating remotely or those that are here in the auditorium? Is there any commissioner that would like to make a motion to approve the resolution for application 2015? I believe, Mr. Rossetti, you have something available to read?
Yeah, it's really just simple.
Okay.
So, yes, the motion would be to, following the section, and I quote, 33.6, multifamily residential development, quote, in any residence R2 and R3 district, end quote, applications for multifamily residential developments consisting of, et cetera. So the phrase would be inserted, the phrase that the motion is being made for is to enter in any residence R2 and R3 district. And that's following the colon and the section beginning with 33.6, multifamily residential development. That's available online in the bright red ink that you all are able to see.
Okay, oops. So, the motion would read specifically as follows. Go ahead, say it one more time. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve 33.6, multifamily residential development in any residence R2 and R3 district. Applications for multifamily residential developments consisting of, et cetera.
Okay, so the phrasing is, the motion would include inserting the phrase in any residence R2 and R3 district prior to the rest of the sentence for that particular 33.6 section. Okay, is there someone that would like to move that particular motion?
So moved, Madam.
Commissioner Kelly has made a motion to move that motion. Is there a second?
A second, Elaine Maddow.
Commissioner Motto will do the second, and I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Motto?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Ticky?
Aye.
Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. All right, the next agenda item is application 20-09, Elevate at Shelton. Shelton Parrott Associates at 1 Parrott Drive, Assessors Map 18, Lot 16. Applying
Madam
for
Chair.
zone.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Panico.
I didn't hear anybody establish an effective date for that zone change.
Okay, I'll refer to Mr. Rossetti.
The effective date will be November 6th.
Okay, effective November 6th. Thank you, Mr. Panico. Mr. Panico, do you have any other?
That should be incorporated into the motion.
Okay. Should we redo the motion then?
No, as long as everybody understands the amendment to the motion.
Okay. Just to be clear, let's do an amendment on the motion. Commissioner Kelly, you did the original motion?
I'll do it then.
Microphone.
Okay. The amendment?
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, you want to do an amendment to the motion to clarify that the
Yes.
application is going to be, this is dead again. To clarify that the resolution that we just voted on would be effective November 6th, 2020.
Yes, I want to do the amendment.
Okay, Commissioner Amato, you did the second on the original amendment. Do you want to continue with the amendment on this amendment? A second on this amendment?
Yeah, a second with the inclusion of the effective date of November 7th, I believe, yeah.
So we'll do another roll call, and before I started with Commissioner Amato, so I'll start with you again.
Aye.
On the amendment. Commissioner Ticky, I believe I went to you after.
Aye.
And Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Usel.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we have voted on an amendment that the original resolution is effective for application 2015 on November 6, 2020. All right, so thank you, everyone. And continuing on, as I started to say, the next item on the agenda is application 2009, Elevated Shelton. Shelton Parrott Associates at 1 Parrott Drive, Assessors Map 18, Lot 16, applying for a zone change from IA2 to a planned development district on 8.178 acres for the development of 206 residential units with on-site parking. This application was accepted for review at the April 23rd, 2020 meeting. Public hearing opened on June 4th, at which time the applicant's attorney, Attorney Rizzio, cited the components of the proposal, 206 units in 2 buildings, a new building in the existing parking lot, renovation of a large portion of the existing building, and amenities including clubhouse, swimming pool, and gym. David Bjorklund, the applicant's professional engineer, gave more details from the site. Plans, including improvements planned for stormwater retention. The commission heard from 2 owners of an adjacent business who presented concerns about the need for residential units, the type of rentals being planned, the length of the proposed sidewalk, the aesthetics of the new building proposed for the area, identified as Lot 2, if the traffic signal proposed for the intersection of Parrott Drive and Bridgeport Avenue would be installed before completion of the project, the amount of additional traffic that would need to use Parrott Drive. The commission voted unanimously to continue the public hearing on July 8th, 2020. The commission continued the public hearing and heard a review of the traffic and parking studies from David Sullivan and Malone Broom, and comments from Arthur Collins and Attorney Rizzio on behalf of the applicant. The commission voted unanimously to continue the public hearing as the city engineer's report had not yet been received. On September 16th, 2020, the public hearing continued and letters from the city engineer, the wetlands administrator, and Spath Bjorklund were read into the record. Attorney Rizzio commented on the approval from the Inland Wetlands Commission, and Mr. Sullivan on Malone Broom again reviewed some points in the traffic study. The commissioners indicated afterwards in a discussion concerns with traffic, shared parking, the need to restructure a majority of the hill, and changing the zone from light industrial to residential. The commission then unanimously voted to close the public hearing. So we're now at the point for the commission to discuss this application and come to a consensus on how to proceed. So beginning with commissioners participating remotely, would you please share any thoughts you might have about this particular proposal, this application, and whether or not you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion on the approval of this application. And I just want to review for the record that Commissioners Kelly, Tiki, Mato, and Usel were present on June 4th and on September 16th. Commissioner, and myself, and Commissioners Kelly, Mato, Tiki, myself, were the only ones on July 8th. Commissioner Usel was excused, and Commissioner Usel, you were not present for one of the 3. Are you willing to go on the record whether or not you have become acquainted with all the components of this application and feel qualified to present an opinion on it?
Yes, I have acquainted myself with this proposal, and I am comfortable with going on the record.
Okay, thank you very much. Get that out of the way. So, starting, is there a commission, one of the 3 commissioners participating remotely? Do you want to weigh in on this particular application and whether or not you have a favorable or unfavorable feeling about going forward on this?
Sure, this is Commissioner Tiki. Go ahead, Commissioner, if you'd like.
Well, all right. This proposal has some similarities with the Perkin-Elmer proposal that we recently rejected, but it also has some important differences, I think. So it's kind of tough. I'm glad we're going to have this discussion. I would say on the plus side for this proposal, I think it fits very well into the site, having made that site visit, which was helpful. And also considering that there is a long empty industrial building there unused. The other thing, it seems to fit well into that actual neighborhood and on that site. I could see this project being there. I think it is, they attested that it was a problem to sell it for industrial because of it being a tight layout up there. It's hard for me to judge that factor. I think they were also proposing 10% affordable housing with this proposal. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. The other kind of things that we've talked about are competition with downtown. I think the applicant made a strong case that this is a different kind of a project than a downtown project. When we have 20,000 people commuting into Shelton on a daily basis, I doubt that we've really exhausted the market for this kind of housing. So those are my comments at this point.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Ticky, you started to say something?
Sure. I think it's a good point that Commissioner Maddow made about this particular piece of land being a bit different than what we saw with Perkin-Elmer in that it's situated back. But overall, I do think that this is too dense of a development. I have concerns about the impact that it would have on the roadways, the traffic, that particular intersection there on Bridgeport Ave, and what that would do for traffic on Bridgeport Ave and for leading into this particular development, whether they go through the Cinto Towers to come around to Parrott Drive or through Bridgeport Ave. I am not at this point in agreement with a zone change. I understand what the applicant represented about their own development and their own application, but I have seen successes with other industrial parcels, especially now more than ever, being of use at this time, and even in Connecticut and nearby towns have led the way. Stratford, Trumbull, Rocky Hill, with light industrial centers, distribution centers. Those are good developments with lots of good jobs. And again, I recognize what the applicant said about their own parcel of land and application, but I don't think that I am in agreement with this particular zone change here for a PDD.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ticky. Commissioner Usel, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do think light industrial will be important to the long-term future of Shelton. There will always be a need in Shelton for warehouses, storage, manufacturing, and distribution facilities. Additionally, Parrott Drive is right off of Bridgeport Avenue, and there were concerns that it would be used as a cut-through, and, residents and commuters driving in and out of Shelton are bogged down by the ever-increasing problem of traffic. So the development of 206 residential units on Parrott Drive would exacerbate the existing traffic burden pre-COVID, and therefore I do not think I'm in favor of this zone change.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Usel. Commissioner Kelly, you're here in the auditorium. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. I would like to ditto what Commissioner Usel said, and also what Commissioner Ticky says. One of the main concerns I think would be the traffic. Right next to that business project, you have another project that's being constructed. Even though that it has been delayed, it will be constructed. And that there will be a traffic light at the end of Bridgeport Avenue and Parrott Drive. Fine? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it will cause an intense amount of traffic on Parrott Drive for
Mike.
Hello.
Okay.
Just keep it right. Okay, thank you. Because if one wants to get out of the shopping center, Bridgeport Avenue, there'll be traffic back lot. Because of the light, they'll do the path of least resistance, try to cut through Parrot Drive in order to do this. Now, saying that, I know a phone call was made to Mr. Sitno and his representatives, and no problem, they could cut through, which is fine. But you know what, that is just kind of a hearsay, because if something happens where congestion and people start complaining on Mr. Sitno's property, that will be closed. So this is why I again, reiterating what Commissioner Yuso said, and what Commissioner Tippy said, I'm not in favor of this project.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Kelly. For myself, this is a proposal that I am not in favor of. It's a proposal that is it's an application for proposal for the wrong place. I don't like the fact that an amount of traffic would dump onto Bridgeport Avenue. I do not care for the fact that the property is going to have a lot of reconstruction on it. I just don't think that there's enough of positives on this particular application for me to vote, to look upon it favorably. I think light industrial uses still are out there. Just last week, we had Mr. Cinto come in and receive an approval to build a large building for a light industrial use. So I think the need is still out there. I do not want to shortchange Shelton on being able to offer a site for someone who is looking for that. So I would be in agreement with Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Usel, and Commissioner Ticky on their thoughts on this particular application. So hearing out of the 5 commissioners that are present, 4 are definitely have unfavorable feelings on this particular project. Is there any reason why we should not go forward and direct staff to prepare an appropriate resolution for denial of this particular application? Any of the remote commissioners want to?
I will motion for a,
could I speak first?
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner Amato.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was going to say, as I said, I think there's pros and cons with this. I appreciate the discussion. I think you've all made a good case for letting it stay as is, at least for the time being. I would agree with that. I think the traffic concerns, I think, are probably the weakest argument, because if it gets developed industrially, those would be the same issues, I think, would pertain to that site. But at any rate, Jenny, as you said, the amount of construction required, there is a perfectly sound building on site. I hadn't really given that so much thought, but that's something that probably still could be put to use without any further construction. So I would agree that it's certainly worth holding off, at least at this point. Yeah, and I appreciate everybody's comments. It was very helpful to me to think this through.
Okay, Commissioner Amato, thank you for weighing in on that. And Commissioner Ticky, you were going to say?
Sure, thank you. I will motion for a denial without prejudice.
We don't have to do a motion. It's just coming to consensus on directing staff as preparing.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so a motion to direct staff.
Okay. Mr. Pianico, were you making comments?
I was just indicating that should not be represented as a formal motion. but rather as a consensus until you have the actual motion in front of you.
Exactly. So, as I had mentioned, it
I don't want
seems
to-
with the discussion that we've had, that it now appears that all 5 commissioners that are present at today's meeting and have indicated their particular feelings on this particular application, there's a consensus for staff to develop a resolution to, for denial of this application. Okay. All right, I believe we don't have to do anything else on this particular item. So being that there is no further, business before the commission, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly has made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second, I have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Moto. On a roll call, Commissioner Moto?
Aye.
Commissioner Yuso?
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the meeting is adjourned as of 10